What's up, guys? Prince Sports here. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and all the other good stuff. All right. Now, you notice ever since LeBron won his 4th championship, you had the LeBron James Justice League. You know, guys like Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, go out of their way to deplete other greats just to try to uplift one great. You know how stupid that is? When we said Michael Jordan was the GOAT, we never depleted anybody else. We always said Jordan was the GOAT by the people, for the people, by the people. We anointed Michael Jordan as the greatest basketball player of all time, okay? And to this day, he's still the most individual, dominant basketball player, and his career is still prime for prime, better than just about anybody that played basketball, all right, period. Now, all these other players have more gaps, more holes in their resumes than Michael Jordan's, okay? Now, only guy that you could come close serious to that is Bill Russell, because Bill Russell went undefeated in the finals for so long, right? The guy got 11 chips, okay? But it's in context. You got to put it in context. He played with so much superstars that it gets undermined for him being GOAT. That's one of the main reasons why people don't put him as GOAT. Because, one, his dominance, he only averaged about 15, 16 points a game. He wasn't great on offense. He just was good on one end of the floor. To be the GOAT, you got to be great on both ends of the floor, period. And the fact that he played with too much superstars. The same way for LeBron James. LeBron James is a good offensive basketball player, but he still doesn't have that go-to moves. He's still not quite the closer that you want him to be. All right? And he got his 4 championships, yes, but at the same time, put it in context, all those championships were constructed under super teams. The first 2 Miami championships are equal to Kevin Durant winning championships on the Golden State Warriors. So the most fascinating championships he got is the one with the Cleveland Cavaliers and this one with the Los Angeles Lakers, okay? So that makes him at 2. And he still has more finals losses than wins, okay? Something Mike don't have. You can't go to the biggest stage and lose. And if you go to the biggest stage and you actually left arguably 2 championships on the table, that kind of takes you out of the GOAT conversation for number 1. That doesn't take you out of the top 5, anything like that. But it takes you out of the number 1 GOAT because you left 2011 on the table. You left 2014 on the table. All right. And you got guys like Nick Wright that do everything in his power. Just sit down, dog. Some of your claims are just nonsense and stupid. You make all these claims to try to spare Michael Jordan for being a GOAT. And none of them hold water. It's kind of like some of these guys on YouTube that come on my channel. They post up all these pointless stats that don't mean anything. Like this one dude, he just sit there and said, well, I'd rather have championships on 3 different franchises. Okay, that's impressive, but it's not impressive enough to say somebody's the GOAT, okay? All that means basically is you're a mercenary. You went from team to team creating super teams to win championships, okay? Winning is impressive no matter how you do it, but there's levels to it, okay? So you creating super teams, you get penalized for that, okay? Jordan won 6 championships with a guy. His second best player only averaged 15 to 16 points a game, okay? That's a fact, all right? So a majority of that heavy lifting when it was winning titles came from Mike. And then you sit there and say, oh, he won 55 games without Michael Jordan. But then what happened the next season, all right? Next season, he's begging Mike to come back because he couldn't handle that pressure of being a team leader. Scottie Pippen is not a franchise player. Scottie Pippen is not as good as some of these all-time greats that LeBron James has played with, period. Okay? Not debunking Scottie Pippen or disrespecting him as a basketball player, but he's just not a franchise player. It's the reason why the coaches sat him down when the game was on the line, because you just wasn't that dude. Okay? And winning 55 games is pointless in regular season terms because I've seen teams win 60 games and go out in the first round of the playoffs. So winning regular season games is pointless if you can't do it when when it counts most, which is the playoffs. And that's when Scottie Pippen folded the most. That's why you had to have him sit down there. And outside of Mike, when he went to all these other teams to try to be team captain, he failed miserably. If you're that good, you still should be able to hold your own, still should be able to be an alpha. Scottie Pippen was never an alpha, period. You know? Kobe Bryant left Shaq and he was an alpha. You know? So guys like Nick Wright, he'd do the same thing for Kobe Bryant, try to disrespect Kobe Bryant in every way possible. And little do you know, Nick Wright, LeBron would have lost 2 championships to Kobe Bryant in Kobe's prime. And Kobe's prime, he probably would have beaten LeBron James a lot more times than LeBron would have beaten him. And that's just the fact of the situation. If you look at their matchups, I mean, I take a closer look at their matchups, you see them play one-on-one. LeBron James had a problem guarding Kobe Bryant. It's just a fact. Kobe was, as an old man, was giving LeBron James a business in his final season. Remember that game? I mean, the Lakers was a mess of a team. You know, Kobe's later years, they couldn't put no more good players around him, you know, another number 2 to help him win a championship. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, winning championships is a team accomplishment, but you as a leader, you as the number 1, you get credit for being the alpha. You know how that goes. So, put this in perspective, okay? LeBron James's run as a dominant basketball player, yes, it's impressive, but plenty other people have done it, you know. Kobe is one. Kobe was averaging around 27 points, around the same age around LeBron James. The only difference is he just didn't have a super team to back him up. Kobe's 2 championships with Paul Gasol and all those other pieces are more impressive than winning a championship with a top 5 player or winning a championship with 2 more other legit all-stars. It is what it is, you know. Winning is always impressive. You know, I got nothing but respect for LeBron James, nothing but respect for Kobe, nothing but respect for Jordan. But there's levels to this, man. Mike's career is just more impressive than Kobe and LeBron's. I mean, it just is what it is, you know? Now, if LeBron won like 7 out of 2 championships, then his argument for being GOAT would be a little more better. You know, it'd be the same situation like Jerry West. Jerry West got 8 finals losses. You don't see people saying he's the GOAT, and he's the logo of the NBA. But winning and how you do it does count, okay? You know, so debunking Nick Wright's nut-hugging of LeBron James is just crazy. Dog, give it up. Nobody's going to consider LeBron James the GOAT, you know? Period. You know, he's going to go down in history as probably a top 5 player of all time, and that's it. You know, he's not going to surpass Mike. For all you know, he could get ramsacked by Kevin Durant next season. What happens if he make it to the finals next season and Kevin Durant give him the business? All right? That'd be a 7 final loss. He could leave LA with just one championship. He did it with Cleveland, okay? And then they're just going to start blowing up the whole dang, you know? So, miss me with all that nonsense. You know, all you guys come up with all this is why I don't go into full detail with messages, okay? I say 1 or 2 things and respond, but if you want to debate me, you could come. When I go on live, we could debate, and I present a lot of spoke to you then. But here's the thing. All right, then he sit there and say, you do realize when Jordan played, both conferences was a little more equal, okay? He was beating, and still to this day has, and played short amount of time, have beaten more 60-win teams, more 50-win teams than LeBron James, you know? Competition does matter. It's the same reason why some people won't give Floyd that number 1 best fighter of all time is because of who he fought, okay? Competition does matter, okay? And how you do it and when you do it does matter. So Nick Wright, another LeBron James nut hugger. Bye-bye. Peace.